Perfect. Alrighty, so hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Comm Central podcast. I'm very excited as I have two really great guests for everybody. We're going to be touching on the topic of graduate programs, their thesis topics, and just really going to maybe some basic info and especially the grad conference where we can learn some really important information for thinking about going through those type of programs. So without further ado, I'm going to ask my guests to introduce themselves. Anum, maybe you can start first.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Anum Ahmed, and I am a second year graduate student in the Communication Studies department. I'm also a graduate teaching associate in this department, and I teach public speaking for undergrads.
Awesome. Go ahead, Jasmine.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine Itliong. I am also a second year graduate student in the Communication Studies department. I don't have all the rest of the titles, but I'm here too.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'm an undergrad in communication studies. I'm a little undergrad right now. Definitely thinking about going into the graduate program, but I think it's really awesome to hear from both of your experiences in regards to the graduate program, how you got there, and I want to talk about your thesis topic. So maybe Anum, you could talk about how you got started within the program, why you chose to go into a graduate program.
Yeah, so I'm actually not from San Jose State University originally. I went to Cal State East Bay for my undergrad, and then I decided to come to San Jose State for grad school. So I'm still learning more about this program too, and about the campus in general. But I wanted to come back to grad school because I've always just really enjoyed going to school. I'm one of those kind of people that, like, when the summer would come around, I would be good for a couple of weeks and then be like, all right, like let's go back. I'm ready to see my friends again. I'm ready to like learn new things. So I think that, like, when I graduated, so I finished college in 2016 and then I started grad school in 2019. So there was a 3-year gap in between. And I think so much had happened in those 3 years that it really made me miss a classroom setting to kind of talk about everything that was going on in the world at the time. So when I graduated a little bit before the 2016 election, and I remember when all of that had happened, I really missed being in a comm studies classroom and just really leaning on my instructors to make sense of what was going on, because I had felt so lost, and I was like, I need an adult to make sense of this, even though I was a college grad and in my early 20s and definitely an adult at the time. But I was like, someone do this for me. I don't want to do that on my own. And so I think that it really, over those 3 years, it made me think about going back to school more and just having that space to kind of talk about the events that are going on and to research them further. And so that was kind of what brought me back to grad school.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. That's definitely eye-opening, and that kind of resonates with me, like especially what we're going through right now, being in a classroom setting and just exchanging ideas with other students and my teachers as well. It's you need that. You need that. Jasmine, I'm gonna pick on you a little bit. Can we hear your story?
Yeah. So I graduated at San Jose State as an undergrad for communication studies in 2019. Or no, wow, where am I at? 2017. And so basically, I was going through a lot of like just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what I like, all that stuff about like if I wanted to go straight to work, if I wanted to do all of that stuff. And then a lot of my professors actually, Professor Raman, Professor Ching Ching Tan, all of them have been encouraging me to go and like try going to graduate school because they're like, I think you really fit in. I think that you want to go into like, you want to like delve into more like the theories and everything like that. And I think you'd be a really good fit. So I actually ended up talking to Professor Spangler about it. And I was telling him about like, I mean, I don't really know. I'm just like kind of like, I want to see what's going on. So he actually brought me into one of his classes. And like I watched the performance and then he was like, so like class, tell Jasmine about like your experiences. And I remember one guy was like, oh, I just finished writing 30 pages. So yeah, go grad school. And I was like, oh, that sounds exciting. But from what I heard from all the experiences, they said that it's really like eye-opening. It's everything you could think of and more. So I ended up just going for it.
Wow.
And here I am.
That's another great story to hear. So what I'm gathering from both of you, I got this preconceived notion graduates had this like whole entire planned journey from birth that they're gonna join graduate programs. You can totally develop that interest, those skills to want to achieve that along the way. Am I hearing that right? You can totally it's
Yeah.
not something that you think about going into college thinking, oh, I need to get my graduate program. You can be a senior thinking about it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Perfect.
definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And I don't
Yeah.
think you necessarily need to go, like, even if we have people in our cohort that didn't necessarily do a comm studies undergrad, but now they're doing comm studies for their graduate work, or they maybe started in comm studies and they ended up somewhere else. And so I think one of the great things about college is that you get to explore all of these different interests that you might have, and you might find a program that really works for you. And so even though we started in comm studies and we're ending in comm studies because that's what we gravitated towards, taking advantage of your GE classes and just taking things that sound really interesting that meet your requirements can really get you into those spaces that you feel excited about. So even if you weren't born with this idea of like, oh, I'm going to go to grad school when I'm older, you might find that along the way.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for clarifying that. Just making sure I can still apply. So we'll switch up the order here. Jasmine, I would love to hear about your thesis topic. Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, so I'm writing about, or well, I'm studying about how Asian Americans communicate about the recent racial injustices happening, especially around George Floyd, and how we can actually navigate a better way to communicating about these without like really giving up our mental health. So a lot of it is about like trying to see how these conversations are happening, because from my own experience, from a lot of Asian Americans that I've spoken to's experiences, like it's not really like a topic we talk about at home. So it's kind of like delving into the background of why that is, the history of racism, both in the U.S. and also in Asian American, like Asia, and then like also looking at like what like values and ideologies, like the conflict between that with intergenerational households, and then kind of like trying to see a way that we can make it work. So it's kind of what my topic's about.
That sounds great. And Jasmine, if you ever need to interview anybody, I'm right here. Okay.
I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind.
Definitely. We would love to hear from you, Anum. What was your thesis topic about, or what are you working on right now?
Yeah, so I actually started thinking about this topic when I was taking Matt Swingler's class last semester for representing injustice. And so I'm working on marriage and divorce culture within the South Asian Muslim community. So how do we think about marriage